and reading the Bible. They got me a Bible in here, so I'm in solitary. So I'm only.
Okay.
Imagine a family that for over a decade was the face of wholesome American values. 19 kids, strict modesty, and a keep sweet smile for the cameras. But behind that carefully constructed mask, a much darker reality was allegedly perfect family vacation. It's 2020. The sun is setting over Panama City Beach, Florida, and you're surrounded by people you trust. People who are practically the national faces of the Christian family values. You're just a 9-year-old girl, and one of the older big brothers, of the group, a man the world knows as Joseph Duggar, asked you to sit on his lap. It would seem harmless, maybe even sweet, but then he asked you to sit next to him on the couch, and he pulls a heavy blanket over both of you. Underneath that blanket, in the middle of a room full of people, a nightmare is allegedly unfolding. Today, we are diving into the chilling case of Joseph Duggar, his wife Kendra, and a scandal that has the entire internet asking, how could this happen again? So let's get into it.
Welcome to Tiff's True Crime channel. Some stories have shadows that linger long after the case goes cold, and some questions demand answers. Join me as we deep dive into the cases everyone's talking about and uncover the details hidden between the lines. If you're ready to seek the truth, like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments.
So this whole nightmare didn't start in 2026, but during a family vacation back in 2020 in Panama City Beach, Florida. According to a 14-year-old victim who recently came forward for a forensic interview, Joseph, who was 25 at the time, allegedly targeted her when she was just 9 years old. The details are deeply disturbing. The victim alleges that Joseph repeatedly asked her to sit on his lap, and as the vacation went on, the behavior escalated. He would reportedly sit next to her on a couch, cover them both with the blanket, and then reach under to touch her thighs and her privates. For years, this remained a secret, but on March 17th, 2026, the victim's father finally confronted Joseph. And guys, this is where it gets surreal. Joseph didn't just deny it. Not at all. He allegedly admitted to touching the victim over her clothing and reportedly told the father and detectives that his intentions were not pure. He even allegedly apologized to the victim herself back in 2020, but the behavior only stopped after that apology. When Joseph was arrested on March 18th for these Florida charges, authorities in Arkansas decided to search his and Kendra's home in Town, if I'm saying that right. What they found there led to even more charges that honestly sound like something out of a horror movie. Investigators discovered that the children's bedroom doors had locks on the exterior. This means the children were essentially locked in from the outside, unable to leave their rooms unless an adult let them out. As a result, both Joseph and Kendra were hit with 4 counts each of false imprisonment and endangering the welfare of a minor. Now we are going to get into the booking video, and we're going to get into a little bit of Kendra's booking video also. There's not much of it, but while these heavy charges were being filed, body cam footage from the Washington County Jail shows Joseph being processed. And the tone is eerie, to say the least. He doesn't look like a man who's facing a life felony. Instead, he's seen joking and making small talk with the guards. At one point, he even points to the pepper spray on a guard's belt and asks about it, and then mentioning that his brother went to police training.
Anything on you in the city or something? No, that's all. And pocket, what you got? Oh, sorry, I thought you said if I had anything. You said not my pockets, I mean, yeah, immediately you got somewhere else. All right. Any injuries?
Well, I don't have anything to train you.
You been here before? Not on this side. Look, I think I got, my brother went to school, stop training. Oh, yeah, pepper spray that was over here. Oh, really? Yeah.
So Kendra was bailable and quickly released, but Joseph stayed behind bars awaiting extradition to Florida. The jailhouse phone calls between them have since been leaked, and they are heart-wrenching for all the wrong reasons. Instead of Kendra being angry or asking for the truth, her voice is soft, airy, and sympathetic, just like it normally is. She has almost like a baby-like tone.
How are you?
I'm alright. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time praying and reading the Bible. They got me a Bible in here, so I'm in solitary. So I'm only I'm in the cell for 23 hours of the day. So, but
Really?
yeah, so it's like a 8 by 10 area, pretty small area, but I've been able to read a lot. I actually been resting some, but not sleeping great through the night. But
Yeah.
but
Aww.
but it's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
They also apparently talk about how Joseph is going to sign over belongings that he had with him when he was booked so that Kendra can get a hold of them. But then there's this part.
Did you hear that I'm out here with, did you hear where I'm at and everything?
I don't know. Should we say it?
I think that'll, well, I don't know. Maybe not. But they've got me a good place to stay that's very private.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm happy about that.
So,
I was hoping.
yeah, and they're taking.
Well,
So you're doing okay?
I'm trying to keep my spirits up, and I feel like reading the Bible has really been helpful to calm and not think about all the situations. So it's been uplifting. So
Oh, that's good to hear.
this one that I got, it's like some other NLT version or something like that, but it has a devotional in it that has some really good stuff.
They talk about Joseph being in an 8 by 10 cell for 23 hours a day, and Joseph mentions that he's reading the devotional, and that has really good stuff. There is zero mention of the victims, and you can even hear children playing in the background of Kendra's side of the call. It's as if they are in their own little bubble, completely detached from the gravity of the crimes. But for the first time in Duggar history, that united front is crumbling. While Jim Bob and Michelle released a statement saying that they are heartbroken and focused on loving their family, the siblings are not holding back. So you have Jason Duggar. In an essence, he calls the actions vile and said that he is disgusted by his. We, like many, have spent the week completely shocked, confused, and grieved. To list a few emotions, we are disgusted to hear the news about my brother. However, this isn't about how it's impacted our lives. Our hearts are burdened because a child's life has been turned upside down due to evil actions of someone who should have never hurt the vulnerable. This is something unthinkable. We are angered by what has happened, and we pray God's righteous hand and the court system will serve justice in the situation as it's deserved. Maddie and I have always had a special place in our hearts for the vulnerable around us, and we will continue to do so. To fathom that someone would abuse their authority to harass the innocent is vile. We ask that you pray for the victim who has been brave enough to share what has happened. We also ask that you pray for his family at this time, as his children must face the reality of losing a father that should have been a spiritual leader in their lives. We stand with the innocent, always. Joanna Duggar said that she has been a wreck and finds the news deeply disturbing. Ginger and Jeremy used their podcasts to call the news devastating and pray for the truth that's been hitting to be exposed, like they're actually on the sides of these victims.
Their episode of the
Even Josh
Ginger and
Duggar
Jeremy podcast. This episode is going to be a little bit different. In light of recent news regarding Ginger's brother, my brother-in-law, Joe Duggar, recently, Joe Duggar was arrested on the charges of abusing a minor, and there were some other legal issues brought against Joe and his wife that we were made aware of, and it's been devastating to hear. Mm-hmm. We wanted to share a few things that were on our heart while also taking a bit of space this week, as it's been a really difficult week for us to process and think through and pray through this with the podcast. We're so grateful for all of you and the support you've shown, the prayers you've extended and are extending. But we really wanted to just take a moment to let you know how we're processing this. This was devastating news to hear when we got the news last week. And it's been a really difficult week of trying to process this, a week of us crying out to the Lord, asking for mercy and grace for those affected by this. But Ginge, how are you holding up?
Well, it has been such a long week. It's been one of those weeks that feels like years. And I did not think that my heart could break like it has this week. The pain and heartbreak that we've had over this, and just thinking of how it's affected so many. Yeah, it's just unthinkable. It's so hard and painful and on many levels.
Yeah, thinking about the victim who was brave enough to share her story has been heartbreaking. Just the effect on that young person's life is unimaginable. And then to see the ripple effect of that horrific crime just across the board, it just has so many damaging, rippling effects. And I think that's been, for me, the forefront of my mind is just thinking, the horror of a crime like that affecting so many for so many years. Yeah, it's devastating to think about. It's devastating. Obviously, where do we go from here? We are praying for the victim. Mm-hmm. We're praying for all of those affected, asking that God's grace would be apparent and would show up, even though on a human level, it's hard to see where His grace would show up in a situation like this. It's easy just to see the darkness. But yeah, it's just really left us in a place of asking the Lord to be kind, to be merciful, asking the Lord to expose truth that's been hidden, praying for wisdom for the officials who are going to, in the months and years ahead, seek to pursue earthly justice so that this doesn't happen to other people. But then ultimately just resting in the promises of God and really finding ourselves in a place of going to the Lord and just asking Him to be gracious and kind and merciful, to draw near to the brokenhearted, the children especially. You just think of how this affects their life. It's devastating.
It's hard. I don't even have words. And yeah, all we can do in those moments is just cry out to God and ask Him to sustain us, to give help. And because it just, you can't be prepared for news like this, even though we've experienced something very similar before with one of my other siblings who made unthinkable choices, and decisions that have affected all of us. And yet the pain and hurt that's caused to us, but then to so many others, is just so hard. And so, it's hard to know, what to do sometimes moving forward. You just feel the weight of it. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it stuns you. Like you kind of feel like what now? Yeah. And yet life goes on. And so that's one of the difficult challenges is, as we're praying for, okay, how do we support those who are hurting? How do we support those who are vulnerable? How can we come alongside and seek to be Christ's hands and feet in the midst of this. Yeah, we long to see God's grace evident in a situation like this, and that's what we're praying for. And so we're so grateful for your prayers as well in that. I think that's really where we are at this point, just feeling helpless, but knowing that the Lord hears our prayers.
Even Josh Duggar, currently in prison for his own horrific crimes, weighed in through his lawyer, claiming he feels for his brother because of the media frenzy and false accusations. Critics have called this statement delusional. The reaction from the Duggar siblings has marked a significant departure from the family's historical united front, with several members explicitly condemning Joseph's alleged actions and centering the victim's pain. Thank God. Jason and Maddie Duggar. Jason and his wife Maddie released one of the most forceful statements, expressing that they spent the week completely shocked, confused, and grieved. They did not mince words at all, stating that they are disgusted by the news and describing the alleged abuse as evil actions and vile. Thank God. Jason emphasized that the situation is not about the family's reputation, but about a child whose life has been completely turned upside down. They further expressed concern for Joseph's own children, who must now face the reality of losing a father who should have been a spiritual leader. And then you have Ginger and Jeremy Vuolo. Never known if I'm saying their last name right. But on their podcast, Ginger appeared visibly emotional. She looked like she had been shaken up for days, describing the week as one that feels like years. She stated her heart is broken in ways she didn't think possible, and called the situation unthinkable and devastating. Jeremy Vuolo added that the horrific crime has a damaging ripple effect across the board. Ginger specifically praised the bravery of the victim for coming forward and noted the difficulty of processing this news given their previous experience with another sibling's unthinkable choices. That would be Josh Duggar. Then you have Jill and Derek Dillard. Jill and her husband Derek released a statement through their family vlog, mirroring the sentiments of being shocked and heartbroken. They stated they strongly condemn abuse and explicitly voiced their support for the rule of law and the pursuit of justice. Their message focused heavily on the innocent juvenile victim, praying she receives the help and support that she deserves. Then you have Joyanna Duggar. Joyanna shared on social media that she has been a wreck since the news broke. She described the allegations as heartbreaking and deeply disturbing, and stated she's grieved by the pain and harm caused. Because of the severity of the situation, she informed her followers she would be taking a much-needed time away to process the news with her family. I think they all should have time to process. We have the outlier, Joshua Duggar, in stark contrast to the other siblings. It makes sense though, hold on. It makes sense. He is behind bars for allegedly the same thing. Pretty much. But worse, really. So he's going to be the outlier in all of this, no doubt. So, in stark contrast to the other siblings, Josh Duggar issued a statement from prison that focused on himself and the media frenzy. Through his lawyer, he claimed to feel for Joseph because false accusations can destroy a life, and lamented that media interest makes the legal process exponentially worse. His statement has been widely criticized by observers and family members alike, with some calling it absolutely delusional state of mind. And then you have cousin Amy Duggar King. While not a sibling, Amy's been vocal in her shift of support. Initially, she expressed being sickened and focused her prayers on the victim and Kendra. However, after Kendra was charged with child endangerment and false imprisonment, Amy's stance shifted. She stated that she would not treat Kendra's charges as small, and her prayers shifted entirely to the children involved. All of the children. She also speculated that the family patriarch, Jim Bob, likely attempted to call a meeting to encourage the family to band together and treat the situation as an attack on their faith, a directive many siblings clearly to talk about the video of Michelle Duggar that recently went viral. She was spotted bailing Kendra out of jail and driving her to a private residence. When a paparazzi member approached her, Michelle didn't just walk away. She pulled out her own phone to film him also. her voice trembling but still maintaining that eerie, controlled delivery. She repeatedly told the reporter, "I am protecting children," and accused him of interfering with children. Okay. Experts watching the footage noted that while her voice was trying to keep sweet, the whole thing with him, her eyes looked very angry and anxious. So in his first...
Can you do an interview? Can you do an interview?
You cannot be here.
Is this private property on the road?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the road is private property?
You have no business being here.
Okay.
You are interfering with...
So, in his first Florida court appearance, Joseph's bond was set at a staggering $600,000. The judge ordered him to have no contact with the victim and no unsupervised contact with any minors. Because of these conditions, it's believed that Kendra is currently separated from her own 4 children while she awaits her own trial in Arkansas on April 29th. But that's the eerie part about it, is that we hear children in the background of her phone call. So, yeah. As Joseph faces a potential life sentence in Florida, the world is watching to see if the Duggar cycle will finally be broken. Or the Duggar deja vu, as they've been calling it. Or if the secrets of this family will go even deeper than we could have ever imagined. This is where we are today. It's a story that feels like a horrific case of deja vu, isn't it? We're watching the same patterns, the same keep sweet voices, and the same family secrets being dragged out into the light. Only this time, the united front is finally starting to crumble. It is so easy to get lost in the headlines and the bizarre jail calls about Bible devotionals, but we have to remember the person at the very center of this, a now 14-year-old girl who had to sit in a room and recount the most traumatic moments of her childhood. Her bravery in coming forward after all these years is what started this entire domino effect. Without her voice, those locks on the children's bedroom doors at night, or during the day, sorry, I might be wrong about that. The locks on the children's bedroom doors, they might still be there, and no one would know what was happening behind closed doors in Town. Hopefully I'm saying that right again. The most chilling part for me isn't just the allegations, it's the alleged confession. To tell your own family and then detectives that your intentions were not pure, that if you was able to, you probably would have just went on and done more. But to say that your intentions were not pure while touching a 9-year-old child, it's a level of admission that's hard to wrap your head around. Let's be real here. And yet Joseph is currently facing life felony in Florida, while Kendra is under strict orders to stay away from victims, which likely means she's separated from her own 4 children. We did hear kids in the background, but we don't know. We don't know what children those are. For years, the family's preached about protecting children and family values. Michelle Duggar is still saying she's protecting children. I don't know. But as the siblings like Jason, Ginger, Joanna, Jill, as they finally speak out and call these actions vile and disgusting, you have to wonder if the keep sweet and the Christian put together mask is finally permanently slipping. While Josh Duggar sits in his prison cell calling the situation a media frenzy, the rest of the world is looking at Kendra and wondering, will she be the one to finally break the cycle? Or is the keep sweet conditioning that she's been through, maybe even her whole life before she met the Duggars, is that so deep that she'll stay just like Anna did? I want to know what you guys think about this. When you saw that video of Michelle Duggar shouting that she's protecting children while her son faces these charges, and she has another son facing the same charges, did you see a mother who's finally breaking inside? That's kind of what I think about it. I think she's finally breaking. She's at a breaking point. They've tried so long to keep it together, and the sons are ruining it for them. I don't know. But did you see a mother who's finally breaking inside, or is it just another layer of the same script they've been following for decades? Please let the conversation keep going and keep it respectful in the comments, please, especially for the victims involved. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Have been admitted as evidence at trial in one way or another. So not surprising that they don't talk about the substance, the content of their cases or the charges or the allegations. It's interesting, given the gravity of his charges in Florida, too, the way she's talking, right? I mean, it seems like she says awe at one point, given his